Good evening. Welcome to the 2024 Hastings Public Schools Board Candidate Forum. I'm Ben Welsh, President of the Hastings Education Association. On behalf of HEA, we thank you for being with us here tonight for our public forum. There are 7 community members running to fill 5 seats on the Hastings Public School Board of Education. We invited all 7 candidates to join us so that you, the Hastings community, could hear each candidate's response to selected questions. We are grateful to all the candidates for accepting our invitation. They are Jim Bovey, Sharon Brooks, Eric Espinoza, Matt Haybrock, Mark Montague, Tamisha Rose Osgood, and Chris Shade. We have a few announcements before we begin. Our thanks to the Hastings Public Access for recording our public forum. It will be accessible and broadcast on the Hastings Public Access channel from now until the election. They will also post it on their Hastings Public Access YouTube channel so that you can watch it on demand at any time or share it with friends, neighbors, and other community members that you want to share it with. During the forum, please be respectful of the candidates and silence or turn off your electronic devices, and please don't use them during the forum. Also, please abstain from clapping after a candidate's response, as we want to give the next candidate their turn and for the moderator to be able to ask the next question. Speaking of the moderator, it's my privilege to turn our public forum over to our moderator, Mr. Chris Shookai. Please help me in thanking him for his time and commitment to our forum for this evening.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I am Chris Shookai, Executive Director of the Hastings Public Schools Foundation, and I'm happy to serve as moderator tonight. I think, Ben, this still remains the only school board candidate forum prior to the general election vote, so important things happening tonight here. Here is the format that we will follow. Each candidate will be allowed a 2-minute opening statement. Then we have 4 questions ready for the candidates. Each candidate will be asked the same 4 questions. They will limit their response to 2 minutes. We will ask them to answer in a random order, so any advantage that going first or last maybe will be rotated around for that. And then each candidate will be allowed a 2-minute statement as we bring this forum to a close. I am the only one who will ask questions tonight. Questions provided to the moderator will be the only questions used. I do have the ability to clarify a question should you need some clarification, although quite honestly I may turn to Ben for that clarification as well. But you are welcome if you need some clarification to ask me about that. To my left is Jade Bartunek, Vice President of the Hastings Education Association. She will be the timer tonight, so she will be very important. She has 2 cards that you will want to pay attention to, because remember, we do need you to stay in that 2-minute time limit. A yellow card will go up when 30 seconds are left for your time to respond. Then after that 30 seconds, the red card goes up. I will let you finish a phrase, but I will cut you off then after that, because I have things to do tonight, people, so we want to get you out of here with everything. So anyway, again, we'll let you finish the phrase, but I will cut you off after that. Any questions about the process that anybody has? Okay, then we will get started. Everybody drew numbers as they came in to determine the initial order. And Eric, you are going to start us off, so we'll say 2 minutes now for your opening statement. Go ahead, Eric.
Hi, my name is Eric Espinoza. Born and raised here in Hastings, Nebraska. Graduated from Hastings Public Schools. All of my siblings graduated from Hastings Public Schools. And I'm hoping to bring, a new perspective to the school board. I'm running because I have the experience. I have a care for seeing not just myself and my family, but extended family go through this system. And it would be an honor to get the opportunity to serve and to give back to a school system that gave so much to me, gave so much to my family. And I just want to continue to support all the educators that provided so much, and again, the school system that provided so much. And I'm really happy to have the support of so many people in the community who came to me with this opportunity. And with that support, I'm hoping to be able to live up to what they see in me and what they hope I can bring. So with that, I hope to answer all your questions adequately, and if I am elected, I hope to serve the public school system. And I think that's really all I have. I don't know if I'm going to fill the 2 minutes. So thank you.
You are not required to, so that's okay. So Eric, pass that to Tamisha. Tamisha, your opening statement.
All right, good evening, everybody. My name's Tamisha Rose Osgood. I've been a member of this community for, I think, 20 years. I'm a graduate for Hastings College. Not born and raised in Nebraska, but married a Nebraskan. And I have a background of working for this district, amazing district, for 15 years. So I think I bring a different perspective coming from a teacher background and also as a parent. I have 3 children. That's partly why I'm running. And of course, the children of this community, because they matter to me. I had a great 15 years working for this district. I actually worked in this school, so it's kind of sweet to be back. Just a lot of great relationships were formed with staff and the families that I served in my time in the district. And so the reason I'm running is because A, my kids, but to also continue to advocate for the kids in this community, to make sure that they are getting what they need to be successful. I think Hastings has done a great job, and I just want to bring fresh new perspective and experience to the board. Being that I have 3 kids in the system, I have a kindergartner, a middle school, and a high schooler, so drop off is fun for my husband in the mornings and pick up. And so I'm running just because I want to make sure that we continue to make sure that all kids from all their different levels are being met. And so that's why I'm running for school board. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamisha. Jim, you're next.
My name is Jim Bovee. I've been in the community for 36 years, worked at Hastings College for all of them. Had her come through one of my classrooms, at least one. I've been on the board for 16 years. Contrary to what some people think, I'm not running for a 5th term to catch Jim Hine. I remember sitting at the forum in the public library 16 years ago and being asked why I wanted to run, and I said I wanted to run out of curiosity because I wanted to learn how some of the decisions were made and how the school worked, things like that. And what I found out is there was a lot to learn. We keep learning it, but I think the thing I've learned the most is how our community feels about the public schools. About 2 years ago, we wrapped up our elementary project at Morton, kind of put the bow on everything, and I was really struck at the support we got prior to that project, during the entire project for all the schools, but the number of people who showed up that night that weren't from Morton, didn't have children go to Morton, but just felt that strongly about the public schools, and that's when I really started thinking about running again. And so what I've learned the most is this community cares about their public schools. They know the stronger our schools are, the stronger our community is.
Thank you, Jim. Sharon, your opening statement.
Hi, I'm Sharon Bale Brooks, and I came here to college in 1970 as a Fremont Tiger, and learned, well, to be a different kind of Tiger. But as a Hastings College student, I enjoyed my experience there, and I've lived in Hastings except for a couple of years in graduate school since then. It was a privilege for me to bring my college students to a number of board meetings over the years, because as journalism students, it was good for them to see what was going on for real. And that gave me an opportunity then as a citizen to kind of watch how things get decided in our community over the years. So when I had the opportunity after retirement to spend a little bit more time and to stretch my curiosity into another part of the community, I was able to do that, and I've enjoyed my 8 years on board. As you can imagine, I'm a real Tiger Cub fan, if you've read the high school newspaper. And one of the things I like to do is keep track of what's happening by finding out what the students are thinking. And I read the Tiger Cub this week, and they were talking about students participating in academic extracurricular activities, looking for ways to raise funds. So they came up with field trips to run concessions for the Husker volleyball matches. And they're having a great field trip and making some bucks. I love that kind of initiative at that level. I read a newspaper article in the trip about the walking trail, Pioneer Spirit Trail, and I like to walk my dogs out there, so we went by there today to take a look at the new Born Learning Trail for a whole nother level of education in our community. Hartwell Renewables, Hastings College students, the United Way all went together to focus on early childhood, and that's a pretty good thing for our community.
And Sharon, I'm going to stop you there.
I'll talk about more things later.
Okay, thank you very much. Pass that over to Matt. And Matt, your opening statement.
Thank you, good evening, and thank you to the Hastings Education Association for putting this together. It's great to see folks in the room. My wife and I moved our family here about 6.5 years ago, and just immediately fell in love with the Hastings community. And what we found was so special about Hastings, because I truly believe that Hastings is a special place, is the people. The people of this community make it what it is, and I don't think that there's any better investment that we as a community can make than into public education. And so that's really the driving force behind my why as to why I'm here today and why I like to serve on the Hastings Public School Board. It's the people in the building, it's the students achieving academic excellence every day. It's the staff and teachers and administrators that are helping them fulfill those successful dreams and working hard every single day. I want to be a part of that investment back into those buildings, those staff, those teachers and those students, to make sure that we've got a really, really strong quality education system that truly is an investment into our future. Because the students at the school are our future community members, they're our future neighbors, they're the future business leaders of our community. And with a positive experience in our school system, I am confident that we're going to see them as positive members of our community later down the road in the future. And my biggest why is sitting here in the room. So my soon-to-be 7-year-old daughter Fallon is a first grader at Longfellow Elementary. It has been so wonderful, her experiences there. The loving, nurturing relationships that she has with her peers and in the classroom and with the teachers and everything, they're truly igniting her passion for learning. She's always been a learner, but her experiences at Longfellow have really just set that ablaze. And so I'm excited to support her and her peers and making sure that we've got these really great educational outcomes for students across the board within our public school system. So that's why I'm here today.
Thank you, Matt. Chris, your opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Shade, and I am the husband to Stephanie Shade for 26 years now. A great many of those years have been invested in public education. My wife and I both have bachelor's and master's degrees in education, and were formerly teachers within public schools. For 9 years, my wife taught at elementary music at Morton, Longfellow, and for 8 years, I have taught instrumental music, 6 of those at Hastings High, the middle school, and Watson Elementary. We invested all we could into these schools until the need to be at home to raise our growing family became too great. My wife and I have 8 children, ranging in age from 6 to 25 years old. Since January of 2021, I've had the privilege to serve on the HPS school board. Jumping on board in the middle of COVID-19 certainly was a baptism by fire. I am grateful for the opportunity to be able to share about who I am and from where my convictions come. First and foremost, I am a Christian. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, and I believe in the inerrancy of the Word of God revealed through the Bible. My worldview is always filtered through the Scriptures and is not a matter of my opinion, my feelings, or the ideologies that trend with the culture. The Scriptures teach that every human being has dignity, worth, and value, as we are all image bearers of our Creator. In Genesis 1:27 it says, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them." Regardless of a person's intellect, mental or physical disabilities, race, or anything else, the Scriptures teach us that as image bearers we have eternal value. So at the end of the day, whether or not one shares my historic Christian views, our board needs people who believe this way on it, because we are all commanded by the highest power to love our neighbor and advocate for each and every person, every image bearer in the district. I will always support policies, curriculum, and activities that are aligned with objective truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And Mark, your opening statement.
Well, again, thank you guys all for coming out, and honored to be here, and just excited to have the privilege to run for school board and just take part of I guess, the election process. And thank you guys again for just being concerned citizens, coming out, and excited to thank you guys all for coming out and showing this is just great to have again. So my family and I moved here in 2009. We've been just happy to look for a small town, kind of an area where we could raise our family and enjoy some of those things and the values that we have enjoyed in Hastings. And we've had the privilege and opportunity to work with a lot of youth kids in different ministry things, with juvenile justice support things, with some foster care kids. And so we've seen a lot of different things over the last several years, and especially in the last few years, a lot of increased anxiety and depression and just suicide we all know is on the rise. And not to be Debbie Downer here, but just there's a lot of issues, and I think the public school system has a unique experience in just engaging with these kids. And so I think we as school board members have a great opportunity and privilege to serve our community in this way and to look out for, to give those values. I think the things that I know I enjoyed growing up in this country, and the freedoms and some of those things, and like I think it was said before, just the value of education. So super excited about that. We've got a couple of kids that have graduated from school. I got one that's almost done, so a little on the different side than some of the other board members that don't have kids necessarily going in, but I've had kids that have come through, and they've all had different and unique experiences as they've gone through the education system here. And so just excited again to be able to be a part of it. We've had a lot of just extracurricular activities, coaching opportunities, just different experiences with the kids. And I see my 30 seconds are coming up, so I'll wrap it up quick. But just again, excited to have the opportunity. I think just as Americans, we're blessed to be able to have the freedoms to do this. And again, I'm just passionate about kids and just giving all of them a voice and an opportunity to be heard and loved on, and good quality education.
Thank you, Mark. Let's pass the microphone down to Tamisha. We'll start with Tamisha on this question number 1. So Tamisha, question number 1 is, describe 2 or 3 attributes or behaviors you possess that make you the best candidate for the Hastings Public School Board.
All right. Well, first and foremost, I'm an educator. And I've been in education for 18 years, so I think coming with that experience, I have an understanding of what it means to be a teacher in this time. And also, I'm a parent. I have 3 children that are in the system, or in Hastings Public School, and I think that brings some value to being a part of the school board, because they're going through actually in all different levels right now. So I've been able to understand what it looks like at the high school level and learn that system, having a sophomore, and then of course starting all over again with a kindergartner, and then having a middle schooler. And so I think having understanding and good listening and just being supportive of the staff and the students as they grow is something that I feel like I can bring. I have continued to grow as a leader over the years in education in so many different ways. Currently I'm in the classroom, so I now have gained a different perspective, teaching math and reading and writing versus PE, which is where I started. And so I just feel like having that, being well-rounded in the education elementary field especially that level, has given me good skills to be a valid member of the school board. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. You can pass that to Jim. Jim, for you, describe 2 or 3 attributes or behaviors you possess to make you the best candidate for the Hastings Public School Board.
Well, I hope the experience is an attribute, because through 16 years we've seen a lot. I spoke at a class at Hastings College last weekend of our future teachers, and ran down some of the controversial issues we've gone through or talked about issues we've gone through in 16 years. It seems like we get about 1 every 2 years. I have some experience in education. I was a public school teacher for a few years. Obviously, I see graduates now in my role at Hastings College, so I feel I still stay in touch with education in that way. I'd like to think I'm a good listener, that I don't jump to rash decisions. I don't feel that I've done that through the years we've had here. I've had children go through the district, but I'm going to talk about them in my closing statement, so Becky, you can get the tissue ready for that.
Okay, next is Sharon. Sharon, again, the attributes or behaviors that make you the best candidate for Hastings Public School Board.
Well, I am curious, and I ask a lot of questions. And I try to ask a lot of questions of all the different age groups. A lot of people are smiling back there because I had to answer them. But I continue to think that that's probably one of the things that keep me excited about learning, and then I can share some of that enthusiasm for learning, not only with the teachers and the administrators, but with the children as well. I think I'm caring. One of the things that I learned with Alcott Eagle and a Longfellow Leopard over the years, there are a lot of ways to care about kids, and many times you care a lot about their parents dealing with their challenges as well. And so I like to listen to those folks and pay as close attention as I can to what their concerns are. And I like to think collaboration is one of the jewels of our community. We're about the right size to make that really, truly possible. I told the gal I was walking with around Hartwell the other night, I said, you know, we have Central Community College, Hastings College, Adams Central, St. Cecilia, and Hastings Public Schools. And it's a wonderful, wonderful mix. And then when you think about all the support we get from the library and the museum and the rest, you see a tremendous amount of collaboration so that kids learn inside and outside of the buildings. And I'd like to think that that curiosity, caring, and collaboration kind of work together to take me through.
Very good. Matt?
Well, I would say that the 2 or 3 attributes that are that I possess that make me qualified would be, one, I'm a team builder. I think the strongest thing you can do when you're working and approaching hard decisions is to build that team around you of people that have a variety of experiences and everything else. It's actually how my wife and I met, was doing community development work, where we were bringing together multi-generational groups of individuals in rural communities to discuss the future of those towns. So understand the value of bringing a team together of diverse thought and opinions to come to conclusion. But then also then beyond that, being action oriented. Recognizing that as you've found the information, you've discussed and debated and determined what the course of action is, making sure that we're moving forward in a positive way is something I take very highly. I also think that I've got some experience, although I have not served on the school board previously. Something I'm sure I'll hit on again is my wife and I own and operate the Hastings Early Child Development Center just across the street here, or about a block away in the old Golden Friendship Center. And so have the experience of recruiting and retaining teachers and understanding the challenges of creating nurturing educational opportunities for youth, and the trust that parents place in us to care for their children on a daily basis, with the same situations that our school system is in every day, and recognizing, the value of the team that we have there at the center, taking care of children every single day. So I have the experience of pulling all that together, working alongside my wife and a really great director and staff to create that educational experience for youth here in Hastings.
Thank you, Matt. Chris?
First, I served on the school board, which I'm thankful for that privilege for the last 4 years, so I'm thankful for the experience and the interactions that I've had over the years. I'm passionate about the things I believe in this case, the intrinsic value that each and every student possesses as image bearers, as I indicated before, of our Creator. I hope that my life has been an example of that. My wife and I have 8 children, 5 of which are adopted. Our oldest 4 are out of the foster care system with things such as autism on the spectrum to fetal alcohol effects. We also adopted a little boy from Egypt with Down syndrome 6 years ago, or it used to be 4 years ago, but we were able to pick him up at birth, and so we are passionate about kids, and I hope our life is a testimony of that. I've been called a visionary, so Chris was mentioning some of the band shows that are on the internet now, and reminded me of I think the boat show or the train show or something, and some crazy ideas over the years. So I've come to realize that I'm a visionary in some ways. I've experienced, I've also taught in the public school system for 8 years. When they talk about taking away teachers' planning periods, I get that. That 40 minutes is vital. And so having been a teacher, I can understand the importance of preserving those things that teachers really need. That's just one example. And I guess lastly, my availability. Some people told me I don't have a real job. And so I am available readily and welcome conversations about things going on our school board and with our kids and in the school and the community. So those would be strengths I'd point out.
Thank you very much. Mark?
All right, so 2 or 3 attributes, behaviors that I think I would possess. So number one, hands down, I think the only real attribute that I have that makes me anything is the fact that in 28 years old, I gave my life to Jesus Christ. I'm a born-again believer, and that is just the best attribute I have. I love this word that Chris has used, the imago Dei, the image of God. I think that is the behavior I think that I like to see everyone in, is that they're created for a purpose, they're special, they're individual, they're created in the image of God, and that makes us all important. And so I think that is the attribute or behavior I think that best fits me. I love communication. I love to hear stories. I like to ask hard questions of myself and others. And I love the quote by Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But the quote is, seek first to understand and then to be understood. And I just feel that's a great behavior I like to possess as well.
Wonderful. And we'll go back to Eric here. Eric, the attributes you possess to make you the best candidate.
I think the best 2 attributes that or behaviors that I possess, I think the first would be appreciation for our school systems. I come from a background where I'm a first generation son of immigrants, where they didn't have the opportunity or the facilities that I did growing up, and being able to share that experience with a lot of, I think the number was voted to be 25% of public school kids are Hispanic or Latino, and to be able to provide, again, my perspective to the board, and, being that I'm not that far removed from having graduated from Hastings High 10 years ago now. So my appreciation for that. I'm passionate about the things I care about. I like to put my whole heart into these things, and especially when I know I have the confidence of others and the backing of people counting on me. It really means a lot. And I would also say I'm a great listener. Not to piggyback off, seek to understand and be understood. Is definitely how I would describe myself. I'm always looking to hear other people's perspectives, shy to share my own. I like to think of myself as good at picking apart problems. I don't always have the solution, but that's where I would trust on the experience of other board members, and hopefully bring, again, my diversity of thought and my perspective to make the best decisions possible for our public schools, so that we can continue to support our teachers and to service our school system in the best way possible.
Thank you very much. Then we'll pass out question number 2. The microphone will go to Chris Shade. Our random lineup. And the question is, if you are elected to the Board of Education, what issues or needs would have your highest priority?
Sure. Well, I think having qualified teachers and being able to choose. I remember back when I graduated from college, you were lucky to get a job, and it was usually out in the middle of nowhere in a field trying to create a marching band. And so nowadays the openings are plentiful, and a lot of these kids come out of the universities and can almost pick their jobs, I think. So obviously there's a shortage of teachers, and getting good quality certified teachers is obviously a need. We can't teach the kids without teachers. So paraeducators too, right along with that. My sister recently came out and applied for a para job in Omaha, and I told her, I said, I think you'll be just fine. She has a lot of experience in other areas, but she applied for 7 positions and was offered 7 jobs. So just shows the need that's out there. So recruiting future paras and finding teachers as well. One of the things I think about just in recruiting though is when I was teaching, we actually went out and sought after people. You know somebody that's a good teacher in this district, not necessarily trying to steal them, if you will, but knowing they're good to work with. And I think that's something that we sometimes take for granted, is we can have teachers, oh, I know so-and-so teaches in this district, they're looking to move a different place, or but recruitment by the teachers, I think would be good. And so you also know if you know these people, you'll know what kind of work environment they're used to, work ethic they're used to, and if they are really dedicated teachers. Let's see. That would be the highest. I think fiscal responsibility is obviously important. Using our finances well in the areas with the best outcomes for students, that's always going to be the case. No matter how much we have, we're going to spend it all, and we want to put it in the areas that are most effective to reach the kids, to become good citizens, as was pointed out earlier, in our community.
Thank you. Mark, if you're elected, what issues or needs would have your highest priority?
All right, yes, thanks. One of the questions that was asked in the candidate questionnaire, and I don't know if you guys have read this, but I think this was, an issue that was asked, and so I'll just kind of read from this answer, sorry to be verbatim, but I think, the thing is in order to maintain an environment that attracts teachers and staff, I think we first have to examine the state of the current teachers, and to talk about what Chris is to attract teachers into the area. I believe that it's something that we need to do to just get an understanding of why are teachers leaving the district and what are the needs. And I think in real time, that would be a big benefit for us. So I think that's, I guess, a issue that would have highest priority, just teacher retention and recruitment. So.
Okay, and we go down to Eric here. Eric, if you're elected, what issues or needs would have your highest priority?
Top of the list for me would be quality of education, and I think hand in hand with that would go supporting the quality teachers that we do have, and like it's been mentioned before, retaining them, finding ways, whether that be fiscally or through our decisions, that we are supporting the things that we do well currently, and to identify any holes or gaps, future problems, so that we can be proactive with how we want to continue to support and build our public school systems to support everybody. And again, I think that's probably the highest priority for me. I mean, I don't want to, just gloss over it. That it is just something where, again, I'm very fortunate. I believe to have gotten the quality of education that I did here at the public school systems, and top of the list would be to ensure that other people have the same access, if not better, with the means that we have at our disposal by making tough decisions, but hopefully meaningful ones and lasting ones.
Tamisha, you are up next.
Okay, so the highest priority for me would be obviously teacher retention is something that I know the board is currently working on. It's a problem throughout the state, throughout the country. There's just a teacher shortage. But kind of adding to that is really taking care of the staff that we already have and making sure that their needs are met, that they're being supported. I know that behavior issues are at a high, and I know off of COVID, there's just been an adjustment of how we're teaching in the classroom, how we're serving kids, and so making sure teachers are feeling supported, that the teachers we currently have, and with that probably hopefully would be bringing in extra support like paras, hopefully just having more support staff would be amazing to help with what the teachers are currently going through with the high demand of the curriculum and just the behavior needs that we face every day would be a high priority for me. Also, equity education in this district. I think we've done a great job of supporting the kids who are just not quite there yet, and we work really hard at supporting their needs, but I'd love to see more support at the lower levels to really challenge those high ability learners. I know we have great opportunities in the district, but I would love to see that even be ramped up a little bit more at the elementary level. And then of course, the teacher shortage, again, just retention, supporting and bringing in people in this community and making them realize this is a great place to raise a family. And hopefully we can bring more people into the community that will stay. And I think that starts not just with our school, but just our community as a whole. Businesses, if we can do a better job of working together collectively, it will be a great place.
I will stop you there.
Yep.
Thank you, Tamisha. And we'll pass it to Jim.
Well, I would agree with all the other candidates so far. Teacher retention and teacher recruitment are going to be hot issues for us. As a board, I think letting them know we support them. When I was coaching at Hastings College, I had a fellow coach who would do a beautiful job. Of course, at Hastings College, we don't have any name, image, likeness money. We're trying to sign people who are getting more scholarships other schools, Chris, as you well remember. And he would do a wonderful job of explaining to them that he could go somewhere for more money also, but he liked it there, and talked about the culture. So I think building a culture where teachers want to stay, are attracted here and want to stay here is something the board can push and help. The second issue for me is 15 years ago, I don't remember near the discussions on the board about the mental health issues of our students and wondering what they were going home to. That is as prominent as it is right now. So any support that we can give our current students that have some mental health issues, I think is a second topic that is important to me.
Thank you, Jim. Sharon.
One of the questions that I would often ask a prospective student at Hastings College is who you admire the most. And you won't be surprised to know that many, many times it was a teacher. I'd like to think that we could support the respect and excitement we have in our community to the point where our children would like to be teachers and know they could make a good living at it and know they keep growing by being an educator. They may start as a paraprofessional, but I think we have some programs now that will allow some real interesting options for paraprofessionals to get full teaching certificates because they've already learned that they like to work in the education environment in a formal way. So having opportunities for folks like that, I think, are incredibly important to help grow our teacher base and help the folks who want to be teachers in Hastings feel like this is the community they like to work in. I know that we have budgetary considerations, and as a kind of a segue, I think we did a really good job with our COVID recovery funds of hiring people in sustainable positions. And by that I mean they were hires that we knew when the recovery funds were gone, we could sustain because we needed them in special ways to meet the needs that were very special to our children. And many of those were in the mental health areas or in areas that helped teachers adapt to some of the changes in education. So I think those are important and they match the budgetary considerations as well.
Thank you, Sharon. And Matt, you will complete question number 2 here.
Well, we're going to go 7 for 7 talking about teachers and the need to recruit and retain quality teachers to the district. And this will be in summation of what everybody said because I'm in agreement with all the comments made. You know, I think the biggest priority for me certainly is going to be the recruitment and retention of teachers here within the district. And I think that we've got to be creative and innovative in how we look at that. I think that we need to make sure that we've created this environment that they want to come work in, and that we've got, and also that we have a positive community narrative around public education. One of the things that drew us to Hastings and that we love about Hastings is the fact that there is so much choice. We've got, it's been referenced, we've got a tremendous amount of educational opportunity within Hastings, whether it be the public school system, Adams Central, St. Cecilia, and the 2 post-secondary opportunities. So we've got really, really great education is kind of at the cornerstone of who we are as a community. So making sure that our staff feel that, the staff feel the support that they need to be successful, and that our students recognize the love and support that they have within the community for them. So I think that at the end of the day, as it was said earlier, we have to have teachers to deliver education. And so we've got to make sure that we've got really good teachers, that we continue to adapt to meet the needs of the students, and that we continue to evolve as a district in who we look at and how we recruit and retain teachers to make sure that we're continuing to meet the needs of students today and tomorrow as well.
Thank you. Microphone can go to Sharon. Then we'll pass out question number 3. And that question is, what goals would you like the Hastings Public Schools to adopt to make sure students acquire the knowledge, skills, and behaviors essential to be successful individuals and responsible citizens? And again, Sharon, you are up first.
That was borrowed from our mission statement. I recognize that. That's kind of at the heart of everything we do. I was just thinking that when we do long-range planning, we do it within the context of what we know our resources are. And we look year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years ahead. And one of the things that I've learned by watching the legislative action in the last few years, more closely than usual because it's one of my roles on the board, is to see how difficult it is sometimes to anticipate policy changes at other levels so that we can anticipate those policies for our staff and our administrative staff as well. Within the context of keeping the knowledge, skills, and behaviors at the forefront. Because quite often we've been given responsibilities through legislative action that we've already assumed. And it was good to see that it was important to someone else besides the educators around us. But then if more was needed, more analysis was needed to show it, the funding didn't follow. So I'd like to see that kind of engagement with the follow-through of expectations from our state government. Acknowledge what we're doing in our schools, and then assure that we can stick to the knowledge, skills, and behaviors that we've all set as a society and as a community. I think we do a good job of looking at that. We rely on our parents, our staff, and quite often sometimes we listen very carefully to the kids and find out where we are, we assess where we are, and we find the ways to meet those numbers.
Thank you very much. Microphone to Matt, and Matt, again, the goals to make sure students acquire the knowledge, skills, and behaviors essential to be successful individuals and responsible citizens.
I don't necessarily know that I have one particular goal clearly written out and defined, but as a whole, just making sure that as a school board, we're looking at decisions in a way that affect the individual outcomes for the student. So keeping the needs of the student at forefront would certainly be my biggest goal. I think that as we look at each of those students' individual needs, we're going to see the opportunities that we have to help them be successful community members later on in life. And so the school system offers really great wraparound services and the social emotional support and development of our young citizens and things like that. So making sure that all of those resources continue to be made available, but then also to focus on community engagement. And so when we talk about the needs of any, Hastings can be substituted for any small town or mid-sized town in Nebraska. We need people, we need housing, we need childcare, we need all of those things for our community to continue to thrive. So utilizing the school system as a community engagement hub to share the story of what it is that we need, what are the skill gaps that we have as a community that we need addressed by the next generation of community members, and so on and so forth. So how do we prepare the students for success today here in Hastings? Because if we want students to stay and we want them to be successful and we want to see the investment we put into public education carry out by their lives here in Hastings, we need to make sure that they understand that opportunity to be successful here. So continuing to implement the school into community engagement opportunities, I think is going to be a huge part of making sure that those students realize the support they have, the resources that are available to them, but ultimately the success that they can find here in Hastings after school.
Thank you very much. Chris, you are next.
I think at the core of this issue is family. It's probably the most threatened and missing element in our society today. We have many broken homes and families that are struggling to make ends meet, working multiple jobs, and are just absent. And so that obviously has an effect. Jim alluded to previously years ago how it was a different environment with the kids mentally, or their mental, how they're doing mentally. And so I think that's the core of our issue now. I think the way to do that isn't necessarily for the school to take over the parents' role, but it's the job of the school to engage the parents in the process of the education of their kids, because ultimately education is the responsibility of the parents. And so engagement would be the big word, the key idea that I would put in there. I think Jason Stoddard's Garden is the ultimate example of that, if you're familiar with that project. So Jason does a wonderful job of engaging the students that are struggling and have behavior issues. I've talked to Jason before, and there's a student that's struggling in the classroom, 5 minutes out in the garden, and he's okay. And so it's a great tool, and I think that's just the start of some of the other tools that we can use to engage the families, and that's engaging the community as well. So that's such a great example. I had a teacher I spoke with here in this last week, just speaking of these issues with the family that bleed over into the school system, And it's really not the school's job to deal with these, but to engage and to support the parents and in trying to solve these things. So keeping the schools on track with their job, but also engaging with parents in these multiple facets that we just talked about would be what I see as primary. Also, just a great example, a lot of us and teachers especially really want to make a difference in kids' lives, and there's many ways to do that. But I have a long story short, a family I know that they had a foster kid. The mom worked as a para, and the foster kid.
We will stop you there, Chris. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Mark, you're up.
Can I give some of my time? I really want to hear what happened here. I'll make that happen. You know, I think, as Matt said, you know, I don't know if I've got one specific goal, but along the lines of just engagement, I mean, I think that the big things is, are we creating a safe learning environment? Tamisha brought up, you know, discipline, behavior, some of these things. I know a few years ago, one of the meetings for the school board, they discussed kind of a pilot program, and shame on me, don't know exactly where all that's been, but with just some of the things that were implemented at Boys Town with behavior, you know, what are we doing to, again, attract a safe and healthy learning environment? We've got a lot of issues in the school system, let's just be real honest, and so how do we equip the teachers to be able to do, and administration for that matter, to deal with the behaviors and the issues that are disruptions in the classrooms, and what are we doing to empower that, as Chris was talking about, just engagement with administrators, with the policymakers, with the parents. I mean, it takes a collaboration, I think, there, as the word's been said a couple times here. So.
Thank you, Mark. Ben will come over, and Eric, you will be next.
Just to keep, I'm going to repeat what they just said too. I'm going to go off engagement, but more specifically a diversity in engagement. I think it's important that we produce students that have the knowledge and skills and the behaviors to be, you know, great members of our community and know how to deal with everybody. I think our Hastings Public School System does a good job, but I'd like to see us be more, maybe not more proactive, but continue to be proactive and anticipatory in how we look after our diverse community. I think, again, we can do that through engagement, but I would like to see, you know, those points of view come to the forefront when it comes to setting goals, so that as we build a great public school system, we ensure nobody's being left behind, or, you know, there are no gaps that we have to retroactively fit because, you know, we just maybe didn't have that perspective or weren't aware of that diversity. So I think that would be a great goal for our Hastings Public School System, to really embrace the diversity that does exist in our community. And yeah, I would love to be able to be somebody who can bring that view and that perspective.
Thank you, Eric. Tamisha.
I think so. One of the goals that stands out to me is relationships. Being a part of this district, I always felt part of a community. I felt supported within the building that I worked. All those years, I just think that that time, there's just really good relationships that were made. And I think, especially at Lincoln School, there's just so many different kids coming from different circumstances. And before they can even be engaged in learning, just knowing that they're loved, protected, and valued, building those relationships with kids should be a really high priority for I think, our district. Because coming off of COVID, we talked about mental health. I think when people feel loved and valued and supported, all the other parts are gonna come together. They're gonna wanna come to school. School's gonna be a place that they're gonna wanna be, and hopefully they will learn and strive to be great citizens of this community. And so I think relationships will help their knowledge, skills, and hopefully through those relationships we can help support them and to develop in whatever field they want to go into. I just think that's so important. Over the time that I've been in education, I feel like when things haven't been going well, I've just seen how important that growth, building that that bond with a student and their family. I think families need to be supportive. I think they're overwhelmed. I think some families just have a lot on their plate. And so as a district, if we can support families, like I know we do, continue to do that, I think that should be a good goal moving forward to just to continue to strengthen this community. So, thank you.
Thank you, Tamisha and Jim.
From time to time, the board has retreats, and in our most recent retreat, about a year ago, we really focused on bringing in staff and the community into what we wanted to get done and what our goals were. A retreat that we had prior to that, we implemented career readiness as just as important as college preparedness. I think that indicates that what the board wants to see is continuous improvement, and whether that be community involvement, our student achievement, our staff performance, we want to see continuous improvement. The second thing is we want to present our students with a wide range of possibilities. Mr. Couch used to refer to it as the economy of size, that we have the opportunity to present them many things academically, many things as far as relationship and role models, many things non-curricular, and which helps to their continuous improvement as well. So those are the things I think can keep moving us forward.
Thank you. And Jim, hold on to that microphone. You're going to start question number 4.
I thought you skipped me earlier.
And it's going to be a topic that coincidentally got brought up already a little bit, and luckily it was a high priority for all of you. So let's delve into it a little further. The question is, teachers and support staff are hard to find in today's labor market. What actions would you support to recruit teachers and support staff and to retain the teachers and support staff members who are already working for the Hastings Public Schools? And Jim, you will start us on this one.
Well, thanks for letting me lead off on that one. I think we've already done some things mutually. I've only been on the negotiations team for a couple of years, but in our most recent negotiations, the teachers and the board came together with some ideas that would both help attract new teachers in terms of our salary structure and maybe retain veteran teachers in terms of our salary structure. So I think we need to continue to look at those things. As I alluded to earlier, there's never harm in establishing a culture that people want to be involved in that. And Tamisha mentioned about people wanting to be appreciated. I think those are important things. Again, if we had lots of money and money was the only thing that motivated people, that'd be a different beast. But we hope there's other things and really impress upon people when they're making a difference in our community and with our students. We need to celebrate more and establish a culture where people feel valued because of that celebration.
Thank you very much. Sharon, you are next.
I had that at the top of my list tonight, so I've been talking about it a lot. I really do feel that our community is excited about encouraging people to come and live here. We were talking about early childhood education a few minutes ago, and one of my interests since I retired was to take a look at the situation in our community for early childhood. Maybe that's something we should look at more carefully when it comes to supporting our staff and our families, ways in which we can support families who could use after-school assistance, early childhood before they become school age. It's really exciting to see the graduates, or maybe even before they graduate, go back in to their elementary schools, particularly be coaches and mentors. And when they see their teachers working in a different context than they did when they were sitting in desks or when they were in the locker room, they see another side of what it's like to be an educator. And maybe they won't go and get a degree in it, but they may find that later on they are a de facto educator in another context. So I think there are lots of things we could probably do to help our HR department, he's sitting in the back there, give him names every time we can find one, but also encourage other people to think of education because their skills may make them possible teachers someday.
Thank you, Sharon. Yes, Matt, you're next. How would you recruit and retain?
Well, I wish I didn't follow Sharon because I had a lot of the exact same thoughts and answers that she had. So I guess to maybe build upon that, you know, I apologize if I used this quote before, this statistic before, but in 2021, the Nebraska State Education Association released a report indicating that 30% of teachers were actively planning their exit from the field, and 64% of teachers reported more stress in their day. So those are really, really startling statistics. When we talk about having a labor shortage already, and we have an additional 30% of our current teachers actively planning their exit from the field. So we really do have to be innovative and creative in how we look at this. And I think that it's not only are we a labor short market here in Hastings, this is just an industry as a whole. It's not like Hastings is the only school district that's trying to figure out how do we recruit and retain teachers, and how do we put the bodies in the building necessary to get those really positive educational outcomes that we've been talking about. So we do have to be creative. And again, as it's been discussed, having that community-based support for our teachers and helping them to be successful and helping them celebrate those wins, and creating an environment that they can thrive in and be excited about their jobs and understand the value that they're bringing to students in the district, I think is a big part of that, because I don't know of a whole lot of teachers that do it for the money. They do it because of their heart. But at the end of the day, my wife and I see it all the time as we're trying to provide affordable, quality early childhood education. It's really hard when every employer in town has a sign up offering beginning wages $3, $4, $5 an hour more than what we pay. So we've got to make sure that we're viewing this as an investment into our future and not just looking at this as a cost to the district. So we've got to be creative, and we've got to be investing into the future of our teachers to recruit and retain the quality educators that we need.
Thank you, Matt. Chris, you are next.
I spoke briefly about recruiting when Dale Dunsing left after 25 years, finding somebody that we knew was qualified, would work well, had a relationship with them and bringing them in. And I think that can again apply at all these different levels. So I know for me personally, I was at Minden and I was recruited. Jim Kaiser and Dale Dunsing came to my concert and encouraged me and built relationship. And I think that's at the core of all of this too, is relationship. All these ways that we can build relationship. I think every time we have the opportunity as a school board to go into the classrooms, teachers are always very receptive and excited, as students are, just recognizing the face. It's been a joy to go in and into the classroom. So any ways that we can engage. I know when we had the opening speaker for this year's school year, the gentleman that spoke was impressed, I guess would be the right word, at how many board members showed up for that. And so just our presence in their lives and their classrooms is so important. It's relationship. And at the end of the day, competitive pay, we do need to obviously be competitive, but again, as I think I mentioned earlier, nobody's coming here because they're going to make $20,000 more than somewhere else. And so pay is important to be competitive, but the school environment trumps the pay. And we need to realize that. I know from my experience, my first teaching job, I'll share this example that set the tone for the whole school. The principal of this school parked her brand new Mercedes-Benz in the handicapped parking spot right in front of the building. And it was a reflection of how that building was run. But other great administrators we've had allow opportunities for me in teaching band, where we had all school assemblies, where our band got to perform for the entire school. That's wonderful. Those kids were so proud of what they did. It was encouraging to them, seeing the kids, football players. I used to lift weights with the football players. All those relationships are what build a community, and a sense of community makes you want to strive harder, work harder, and succeed.
Thank you, Chris. Mark.
All right, so what actions would I support? And I can't speak to say that I know all the actions, I guess, that are currently being proposed, but some of the veteran members here probably could speak a little bit more into that. But I think, again, just kind of echo what's been said here. Community things are a big value if somebody's going to move here, and this is a place I know that attracted us. When we looked at this community, it was family values, support system, job opportunities, things along those lines. As a small business owner, a community member, I think these things are beneficial for our community to attract teachers if their kids are going to be in an area where there's activities to do, where there's events going on, where there's restaurants to eat, and you name it. So I guess shameless plug for all of us this time of year: get out and vote. The things that we vote on the local level and the national level, they make a difference in our communities, and our communities do, I think, go symbiotically, if that's the right word, with the education system. So I think we need to work on those things. The other thing too, I think, is just again, what are we finding out? It's good to hear that we're communicating with current staff, but these statistics are staggering when we hear about all the people that are getting out of teaching. But I guess that makes me wonder why. And a couple of the statistics, and I don't have them right off the top of my head, so don't take my word for it, look it up. But the two big reasons that teachers are leaving just nationally is going to be just lack of support that they feel and behavior issues. So what are we doing to address those things? Again, what are we doing with exit interviews of our current staff? What are we doing to work with? So I would support any of those opportunities, I think, to communicate more. The old adage my friend says, and I love it, everything you do affects everything you do. So I'll say that again, everything you do affects everything you do. It took me a minute. So.
Thank you. We'll get the microphone down to Eric, who will be next. And again, talking about actions that would help recruit and retain.
I think the most important actions to support and recruit would be to advocate and celebrate our educators. I think people have mentioned it plenty to say that, money is a powerful motivator, but it's not the end-all be-all. And if we don't have a positive culture, if we don't have a school system that stands by our educators and supports them, and celebrates them, it may not matter how much you pay them, they're not going to want to come here. So I think, we have to advocate and celebrate the things that they do well, continue to do well, and show them that we are taking the right steps to continue to do so, so that other teachers, because another aspect of recruitment is word of mouth. If it's getting out that teachers don't like it here, that they're unhappy with the culture, they're just here to make a living, they're not going to want to come here. So I think so long as we can keep our educators happy and remind them that we are here for them, and that the service or the job that they do for us is an indispensable one. I think that culture will drive people through the door, because they'll want to work here because they're passionate and they have a great place to work. They'll see what we all love about our public school system, and hopefully they'll bring like minds with them, or attract like minds.
And Tamisha, you have the last word on this question.
Okay, so there's a lot said. I just go back to being valued and protected and loved. I think if we treat our staff that way, that's a positive, right? Creating a good culture that they want to stay in and want to raise their family in this community. But I also think that's part of it, but also building that partnership with our community. And I think Hastings Public has done a great job of that, but continuing to strengthen that community partnership so that Hastings looks like a place that people want to come and want to stay. I'm from a big city, and if you would have asked me 20 years ago if I was going to stay in Hastings after graduating from Hastings College, I would have said, no, I'm leaving. And not because I didn't like Hastings, I didn't know enough about it. I just wanted to go back home. And once I graduated from Hastings College and stayed in this community, I tell my friends all the time back home, I say, Hastings is a great place. The only thing I would want it to be a little closer to Toronto so I can see you guys a little bit more. But it's a great place to raise a family, and I think that's where we have to work together as a district and a community, and let people know that this is a great place to grow your family. It's a very diverse community, maybe more so than people realize, and I just think that if we continue to sell that and have opportunities for people to grow here and for their kids to grow, then people will stay, and I think staff will stay. I think that's the number one, just that partnership. Salary and supporting staffs in that way, I think the district has done a great job of that, but continuing to show teachers their value, and then also opportunities for teachers to continue to grow as leaders and so they can stay in this district. is important.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
It is closing statement time, and let's pass the microphone down to Mark, actually. So just as a reminder, you have 2 minutes each for your closing statement. And Mark, we'll start with you.
Okay. Well, thank you guys again for coming, and appreciate everybody just taking the time to sit here, and thank you guys again. I mean, it's just great to hear all the candidates and just a lot of commonality. So I think whatever 5 people get on the board, I'm excited to see what Hastings has for the community. So, but a lot of this stuff here, you know, again, that I've talked about is just creating a safe learning environment for our schools. I think our original purpose of education is that, it's educating. And so I think getting back to that, I think just healthy conversations, a lot of stuff that I think I've heard here tonight, just open dialogue, healthy communications. Let's get in touch with community members, with taxpayers, teachers, administrators, lawmakers, all the individuals who are involved in the process, the policy, the things that we are all involved in here and that we're concerned about. So I think when everybody's involved, we get everybody a seat at the table, then we know a lot more information, and I think that helps us make the best decision. So I think that we need to also equip, like the vision is how do we equip these students for tomorrow? Kids aren't only important today, they're not just our future tomorrow, they're important now. And so I think that we've got to love on them and care on each one of them like that. So again, what steps are we doing to create safe environments to help support our educators, help support the administration? Most importantly, as a follower of Jesus Christ, as a believer of the Constitution of this great United States, I think it's just the freedom and the opportunities that we have to be able to have an education, to be able to have the freedoms to have public schools where we do have funding for these things. It is a wonderful privilege, and let's not take, I guess, any of that for granted as we have these things. And so let's do our diligence to make the school systems, again, I think the best that we can with what we have, and that's, I guess, my heart and my desire if elected on the school board. So thank you guys again.
Thank you, Mark. Chris, actually, we'll go backwards a little bit, Ben. Or, sorry, you want to go this way? Okay, I was going to call an audible, but no, I will not. You will stick with the numbers wonderfully. So, Eric, you have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Yeah, I mean, like I said in my opening statement, I was just honored to have this brought to my attention. I never had the intention of running, but I also had a good friend, co-worker, that he said, in positions of government service or of any kind of service of that type, the best servants are the ones who don't want it. And I can say that originally I didn't want it, but enough talking in my ear and listening to all the reasons people thought I would be good at it, the more I found myself really honored and just wanting to bring all of the positive things that people mentioned to me, being born and raised in Hastings. As many times as I told myself I wanted to get out of this town, I can't leave. Genuinely, I love this community. I'm looking forward to. We have our 13-year-old at the middle school now, getting ready to go to high school. Soon we'll have our 3-year-old. Hopefully in the early childhood development center, and I would just love to be able to bring my perspective and my views on this community that I love so much, and again, a public school system that has given me so much, and to advocate for the same people who made sure that I graduated on time. I see some of the people in this room that had to pull on my ear to get me to graduate on time. So I can't think of a better way to give back to the community and to all this faculty that had to spend time with me after school to serve on this school board and give back to them in the best way I can.
Thank you, Eric. Tamisha, 2 minutes for you.
Okay, so I graduated from Hastings College, and my first job was, well, I'll go back. I student taught here at Lincoln School, and Drew Hetty was the principal. Built a great relationship with him and the kids here. I thought I wanted to be a high school PE teacher and fell in love with the elementary kids. Graduated, there was no PE jobs in the community, and I taught 1 year preschool at Head Start and got to work with amazing families. And then I was really lucky to come back and work in this amazing building with amazing families and staff. And I'm running because this community matters to me. These kids matter to me. When they see me, they say hi to me. Some of them have seen my signs. They're excited to see that I'm running for school board. I want the best for not only my children, but all the kids and the families that I serve in this community. And even though I'm no longer an employee, this was my way of being able to give back and be a servant. I know that my purpose is to serve, and children are the number one right there for me. I want to do all that I can to help them be successful and feel protected, loved, and valued. I give my time in whether it's coaching extra sports activities through the Y. I've coached my kids' activities. I started programs here. It's all about giving kids the opportunity to find their passion, their love. And so, again, feeling protected, loved, and valued is what's driving me, and I would love to serve this community and serve the families and the students of Hastings.
Thank you, Tamisha. Jim, 2 minutes for you.
2 years ago, our current board vice president, Jody Graves, sat up here and reminded us that when you're a board member, you lose the right to worry just about your own kids. You've won the right to worry about all the kids. I didn't want to be a board member that lost interest once my kids were done. In my opening statement, I talked about the community. But my kids, I have 2 kids, who were well prepared by the Hastings Public Schools. Whether it be the character education they got at Longfellow, the 6 points on your ACT that Jennifer says Dave Wood will get you in English, or the sudden surprise in his new occupation that 4 years of great teaching in Spanish has benefited Mike. By the way, I also have a spouse who is a product of the Hastings Public Schools, who's pretty cool also. So I hope all these families learn that they owe the Hastings Public Schools far more than the Hastings Public Schools owe them.
Thank you, Jim. Sharon, 2 minutes for you.
Thank you so much for being here. This has been a privilege to be here up front and to be speaking with you tonight. We could have been at taco night at the middle school garden. It would have been well worth your time too, I'm sure. Getting myself together. During COVID, I'm fairly certain that children did not stop learning. We are assessing what they may have missed through formal instruction. We're also getting a picture of how they adapted and the resilience they developed. We can anticipate some of our agenda items in the next few months, and others we will face when they're presented to us. What we have in our community are valuable resources of collaboration. We, as parents and family members, are our children's first teachers. We are all educators, and we teach by example.
Thank you, Sharon. Matt, 2 minutes for you.
I was thinking it would be easy to come up with the closing comments as today went on. And I guess I'm going to reflect back a little bit on the experience that I've had as my wife and I began the Hastings Early Child Development Center. It's inspiring to see what happens there every single day when students are provided education. You know, we deal with the hard as well, the hard conversations with families that are trying to find the best solutions and answers for their children. We get to celebrate the wins, the potty training victories, the social emotional skills that are developed. We get to see, I'm going to reference one of my favorite preschoolers, Colson. We get to see him get off the bus every day from Morton Early Learning and seeing this extra skills that he's able to receive there that are helping to jumpstart his educational experience, that little extra nudge that he's been able to get there to help him become prepared for the school system. It's so wonderful. It's the educational experiences of our students that are great. I look out and I see my daughter reading a chapter book tonight because her dad's forum is boring, but the learning that has been inspired in her through her experiences at Longfellow, and then on to this past year, I had an opportunity to speak at one of the skills classes or the job prep classes at the high school, and I met she's a junior or a senior now. She actually transferred to Adams Central from Hastings High. because of a program offering that Adams Central had that Hastings didn't. Again, one of the benefits of multiple educational opportunities here within the community. But she was a first-generation high school student in her family that wanted to pursue a career in agriculture and didn't know how to do that. And so I got the opportunity to actually coach and mentor her and hired her to work in the ag field with me and watch her grow and develop and see her skills shine. So and just as Jim has pointed out, my desire to be on the board is because of every single one of those students in the buildings of Hastings Public Schools and the opportunity that they present to our community.
We will stop you there. Thank you, Matt. Chris, you will get last word tonight. 2 minutes for you.
So do I get an extra 5 seconds, or?
Gotta butter up Jade.
Sorry, Chris. As I stated at the beginning of this forum, my worldview is rooted in the Word of God. So the decisions I make on behalf of our students are not the residual of trendy cultural ideologies or my personal opinions, but based upon the principles and teachings in the Bible. Furthermore, I'm also grateful to be an American citizen that lives in this great constitutional republic that has proven to be the longest lasting, most prosperous, free country in the history of the world. Assuming our students and future generations steward this great country well, they will have greater freedom to explore, create, and prosper here than anywhere else. It is my hope and desire as an HPS school board member to cultivate and nurture our school cultures to allow these principles to flourish. Parents, the responsibility to educate your children lies not with the government, but with you. If you choose to contract with HPS to do this, I encourage you to get involved in the process. Come to school board meetings, review curriculums, and get engaged. We, the school board, administrators, and teachers, work for you via your tax dollars. So please hold us accountable to what you have hired or elected us to do. It is my hope that our schools would be grounded in the teaching of the fundamentals through primary documents, facilitate an environment that fosters critical thinking, and give our students the skills that will equip them to be responsible, contributing American citizens. Lastly, I want you all to know that the past 4 years of my service on the HPS board have been a pleasure. While we may not always agree on every topic, there is always respect for one another and good dialogue on the issues. While I can't say that about our society at large, this board models these virtues well. Beyond a healthy school board, I am also grateful for our superintendent, Jeff Schneider, who truly values each and every student, teacher, administrator, and staff member. We are, without a doubt, blessed in this district. Regardless of how this election turns out, my prayer is that this level of respect and continued communication will carry on and that HPS will prosper as a result.
And we will stop you there. Thank you, Chris. This now concludes the 2024 Hastings Education Association, Hastings Public School Board Candidate General Election Forum. Thank you, candidates. Yes, they deserve a round of applause. Thank you to Hastings Public Schools for providing our facility here at Lincoln Elementary, and especially thanks to all of you in the audience for working to be informed voters. We are grateful for your community support and for attending tonight. Please vote on November 5th. Your vote will select the 5 candidates who will become the next school board members for the Hastings Public Schools. Have a great evening, and thank you again, everybody.